Okay, here we are behind an early 1880s mansion. I think it was listed as the Pettibone's first mansion, back in the alley, right behind my place. How convenient. And I've probed out and opened up what looks like a stone-lined something or other. Nothing real exciting yet. A machine-made Hannibal beer and a later Mangan. It's still a tooled top, but has net contents embossed on it, which has to be a later one. I haven't seen that one yet. And some early machine-made crap. And yet we're only about 2.5 feet down. Already in the tooled top. Oh yeah, it's January 30th. Tomorrow's the last day of January. And it's supposed to snow tomorrow night. So, I think I'm going to be here after dark. That's what I'm thinking. I've only been at it for a couple hours. Yeah, if that. Hour and a half. So anyway, back at it. Alrighty, day 2 behind 12 something Broadway here, behind my house. And we got a pile of stuff over here that got left behind. And we're down 3 feet or so. Probe goes down at least another 4 foot from where I left off. So that's a good sign. I don't know if you can see the corner of the walls there or not. Anyway, it comes all the way back to at least where I'm standing. So it's a good size one, full of glass, but time is limited. Gotta get at it. Well, after about an hour and a half of solid digging, we got through about 3 feet of ash, clinkers, and I just looked like I hit some sort of use layer. About 7 foot down. I'm going to break out the probe and see how far it goes and take it from there. Whether I open it all the way up or just partly. Alright, here we are to finish up the hole, day 3. Day 3, but it's 2 days after I left off, so gotta get her done, today or never. And with Sean helping me, yep, we will get her done. Wasn't so sure doing it myself. Alright. Well, after the 3rd day of digging, we got a bunch of bottles, a whole bunch of bottles, over in the trees here. A big deep hole, a lot of dirt that's got to go back in the big deep hole. And I'm standing about a foot deep. This puppy goes down about 10 foot, about 6 foot by about 3. And was never cleaned out, starting in the early 1880s. And got a few good ones out of here. That's what counts. Well, this pit was pretty crazy. For one, it was probably less than 20 paces from my backyard on the other side of the alley. And number two, it was loaded with glass. Unfortunately, the house was not that terribly old, early 1880s, I think maybe 1880 on the nose. But that didn't stop it from having stuff that was older down in the bottom of the pit. It was one of the more prominent families in Hannibal. And, you know, I think the funniest thing, the first one of these three photos that I dug up was this one, and I don't know if it really shows up on the camera that well or not, but I thought it was a little pocket mirror or a hand mirror, because all I could see was, you know, a reflective surface. And then I dug up, I think I dug up this guy, and I could actually make out the picture on him. And I went, oh my God. So I looked back at this one and realized, yeah, there's a face in there. And then there's another face on this guy when he came out. And I believe they're all different. And of course my first thought was, how bad of a character do you have to be to have your photograph thrown in the bottom of an outhouse hole? You know, I mean, seriously, think about it. Anyway, it was the first one I'd ever dug where there were, you know, daguerreotypes or whatever these are at the bottom of the pit. And then go figure, this one, a nice little powder horn. Well, not nice, it's pretty cruddy and beat up, but nice in the fact that you don't expect to find one in the bottom of an outhouse hole. And then the real surprise, and the coolest thing, I think, is this Chinese spice jar. I dug the lid up first, and I remember digging up the lid and thinking, boy, what kind of fruit jar was this? You know, it was like kind of a thin pottery clay without any, you know, threads or anything, and I'm thinking, but this looks glazed. So I set it aside, kept a close eye on it, because I thought, oh, maybe I'll dig up whatever it goes to. Now I dug this thing up, and I didn't put two and two together until much later, after I had both of them in the house. And you know, I think I had the jar maybe a couple of feet away from this, and as I walked past, I made the connection. I went, oh, wait, that goes to this. And sure enough, you know, I went and put it on there, and what a perfect fit that is. And yeah, some pretty cool looking flower decorations, and you know, the base and the bottom edge around it are not glazed, and even the glaze doesn't look glazed in some spots. I mean, it looks almost like it was painted on. Pretty crudely done. And it's probably way older than anything in my collection. Who knows? But yeah, and the thing is that I seriously believe this was made for a Chinese person. I don't believe that this was ever intended for, you know, the market, the European market. This looks like a real Chinese artifact dug up in a Hannibal privy. You know, the only thing I can guess is that they might have had a Chinese cook or something, and somehow his spice jar ended up in the privy. The other cool part about this privy is that I dug up these two, what I'm assuming atomizers. I never did dig up the bulb or the top parts to them. But boy, they sure are sparklers. They're both pretty. This one looks to be in perfect condition. This one, when I first dug it up, I was like, well, wow, that's pretty cool, but too bad it's all cracked to hell. You know, it looked like it had been in a fire. And then I realized, oh, this is crackle glass. I hadn't ever dug up any. I'd seen it in shops and stuff like that, but you know, and apparently what they did, it was like when we were kids and we would heat up marbles in the oven and then we'd drop them into water and they would crackle. That's what they did with this. And then after it all crackled, they would re-stick it back in the furnace for a few seconds, and it would help to fuse the cracks or to strengthen them, so that if you bump it against something, it's not going to shatter into a million pieces. And then they decorated it. And there's a big market for crackle glass. I guess the collectors are rabid about these things. And these both are easily 1880s. And I suspect the same for this, although this thing has clearly a nice pontil on the base. Kind of a ground pontil. With decorated flowers, and it is, you can't see it without sunlight right directly behind it, but it's an absolute deep amethyst purple color. A nice flared lip. Oop. See? And it didn't break. It didn't shatter into a million pieces. Yeah, good thing. Has a little bit of gold paint around the rim. I mean, this was like a nice, very nice perfume bottle, or a tonic, hair tonic, I don't know what. Bay rum maybe, but it's kind of small. Never did find the stopper to it, which boo-hooed me all day. And it could be, you know, I mean, this really might be 1850s. It's hard to say. Could have sat on Grandma's dresser for 50 years. And then I dug up one of those round bottom Ross from Belfast sodas. You know, nothing real whoop about it, except I just love the Rosses. I mean, what possessed them to make a plus sign and a circle above it instead of just a regular comma for Rosses baffles the heck out of me. I don't know why they would do that. And then this guy, probably because when I was a kid I was an avid fisherman, so this just cracks me up. This is like looks like a little boy with a fishy in his hand. I don't know if you can see the fishy and his fishing pole, and he's just lost his mind over the fish he caught because he's headless. Oh yeah. But no markings. Well, there is a 7.2 on the base. Almost like somebody penciled it in at the store or something. 72 cents, that seems like a lot. But anyway, made out of bisque. Yeah, just pretty cool. And then I dug up this decanter, and the decanter was split right. Yeah, you can see this part was missing, and I actually dug that up and glued it back on. And then I found the stopper to it a little bit later. So that was kind of cool, even though it's a glue job. And then I dug up a number of little pottery pieces. This little bud vase is almost 100% complete. I think there's a little tip to this fern part like that's missing. And that's the only thing I can actually discover on this thing that's would be considered damage, and you have to look really hard to find it. You know, it's got these cool flowers on it. These bluebells or whatever the heck those things are going up the leaf. I mean, it's just a beautiful little bud vase, you know. Why anybody would throw those away? But then, you know, what did this guy do to deserve being trashed? Oh, anyway, that was the first dig of the year, and as you can see in some of the pictures, it was snowing fairly decently. It was a chilly dig, but certainly worthwhile. So there you have that one. That was fun.